It's not about right versus left. It's about right versus wrong. This is The Alex Jones Show. Call Alex now, toll free, at 877-590-5525. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
Yeah, Woody in Round Rock, Randy in Connecticut, Jeff's in Pennsylvania. He says he disagrees with me about child kidnapping services. Child protective services. We'll go to you first, Jeff, when I go to calls, but I need to get into Apocalypto, and then we'll take calls, and I'll get back into all the other world and national news here for folks listening across the country and worldwide on the Internet. Boy, I tell you, there is so much to cover here. Basically, every angle of this film, the casting uses, real indigenous populations, 90+%. The cinematography shot in this new super digital format has a look I've never seen. The handheld look of some of it's the best I've ever seen it pulled off. This is avant-garde, or meaning totally new, state of the art at every step of the film. So I mean it when I say that Mel Gibson is a greater director than Stanley Kubrick. There is no debating it in my mind, and I think that I had thought previously that was Stanley Kubrick, and it was Stanley Kubrick because he hadn't, Mel Gibson hadn't made this film yet. Braveheart's excellent, so is the Passion of the Christ, but they're A+ films, but they weren't at Kubrick level. This is off the charts. And there's a total immersion in the atmosphere. I have never seen a film be able to basically take me there like this film did. Just a whole new level. And there's so many levels to the film, so many different messages, and they're all good. It is a positive, buoying film, but that's in my notes later. I'll get to it. Number one, Gibson knows what we all really want, and we want the truth. And that's why The Patriot is the state, an out-of-control tyranny against the family, against ragtag forces, and it's historical. It's the same thing with William Wallace and his battle against the British in Braveheart. And it's what we witness in Apocalypto is the truth. The government isn't some good, loving, sweet thing that's going to take care of you. In almost every case in history, it is oppressive, it is brutal, it is murdering, and all you can count on is your family. Your family comes first, your tribe, your extended family, and Gibson focuses in on that. He shows the joys of fatherhood. This captures the ancient hunting ritual like no other film I've ever seen. For people that don't understand hunting, it isn't the killing of the animals. It is the tribal nature of it. It is what mankind is designed to do, men getting together and going out and hunting. And so, again, that's just a tiny part of the film. And then the scene with the tribal elders around the fire early on in the film, I've seen them try to capture this in 50 other movies, and they've never captured something like this. You feel the ancestral memories. All human beings come from this. And whether you're Germanic or Asiatic or African, it doesn't matter. It stirs instinctive memories. And I'm not talking, I don't believe in reincarnation, folks. Instinctive, family memories, tribal memories, genetic race memories. This whole film stirs race memories because they were doing human sacrifice in Gaul and in what is Germany today. And they were doing human sacrifice in ancient Greece. And there was human sacrifice in Asia. What is China today? The things you see in this film, the same thing has happened over and over again, and I'm going to explain when we get back from break why. And it details the horrors of unrestrained government and how sickos always get into control, and they always want to press on the nerve of power and abuse and dominate and terrorize populations. And so this is why this type of behavior is the norm, not the exception in human society. Just the control freak exercise of power, the cult of power, and then the spectacles, how the people of the city feed on the people from the country, and the Britney Spears of their day, all in their garb and all so arrogant and haughty. The elites and their fancy headdresses and their beads, with the front row seats to the human sacrifices. I see them as the decadent know-it-all petty yuppies of today who get upset if the line's too long or if their iPod doesn't work. Just these petty, decadent, weak people. It's illustrated perfectly, and it shows just like the Roman Colosseum, which was a form of human sacrifice, more stylized, ritualized hunting that the population would view. So the Romans, again, that was human sacrifice, just done in a different way, delivered, executed in a different format. You see the exact same Roman Colosseum type human sacrifice, and Gibson isn't hardcore enough. He gets criticized by liberal anthropologists saying, well, it's just their culture. You can't say it's bad. You can't make a decision and say a culture is bad when the Nazi culture isn't bad. I happen to think it is. A mass culture of death and destruction and murder and killing innocent people. No, that's a culture gone bad. Well, it's the same thing with the Aztecs that dominated and brought down basically those cultures. Unbelievable. So he did hold back in that they show a big pile of dead bodies of people they've sacrificed, and according to the guides and the books I've read and what's carved on the walls down there, that most of the people they would sacrifice were cut and eaten in a ritualized activity. The heart was burned in ashes. So he held back with the crowds at the feet of the pyramids when they kicked the decapitated corpse down them. He held back because the crowds don't eat their flesh, which, according to most of the anthropologists and archaeologists and folks that have gone over the different primitive languages, it's actually complex, but by primitive I mean ancient languages, that is what they did. Just unbelievably accurate. And this UT half-baked professor or assistant professor, this art professor who's in the Statesman criticizing it, says, well, when they're walking through a tunnel by one of the pyramids, it shows a head being severed and blood spurting out carved on the wall, and that was from an earlier period. Just mindless nitpicking here, but doesn't deny there was mass sacrifice, just shows their moral relativism. For many years, I'll get on the radio and use the example of a culture gone bad to show Mesoamerica dominated by the Aztecs near the time of its collapse, which this film shows, how they would sacrifice tens of thousands on some holidays in a single day, not just when there were droughts or calamities, but when there was different astrological developments, or on most days at different religious centers, when the sun rose and when it set, they would kill somebody to mark it. And people would email me or call and say, how dare you talk bad about their culture? You're just a racist. And I go, oh, well, I criticize the Druids sacrificing people. Oh, I criticize the Romans. I guess I'm against white people. No, I'm saying this is an evil culture. Well, you can't judge a culture. Okay, so Pol Pot wasn't bad. Stalin wasn't bad. Hitler wasn't bad. The Romans weren't bad. Feeding children to the lions, that's okay because it's just a culture. No, we need to make a moral decision. We need to discern. We need to say what's wrong and what's evil. And so we'll go over what this professor said later, and I'll finish up going through this film. But if they take your capacity to recognize evil away, then the evil can take over. Evil always seeks to remove the definition of evil. Evil always wants to take standards away so it can control you. We'll be right back after this news break. We'll get into your calls, too, as well.